But we are in Purchase, New York today because we are focusing our American Icon series today on a company that is all over the world, PepsiCo. They are in 200 countries and they have a big presence in the Arab world. Joining me right now for an exclusive interview, I'm going one-on-one right now with Indra Nooyi, the chairman and CEO of PepsiCo. And Indra, I first have to start with what is happening. Last year, you put $100 million. You invested in Egypt. You believe in that country. 70% of the carbonated market for beverages you hold. Are you concerned right now what's going on in Egypt?
Look, anytime there's any sort of upheaval in a country, we worry about it, especially if we have assets on the ground, if we have a business there. But let me just tell you that as we look across the world, because we operate in 200 countries, at some point or the other, there's some turmoil in some countries. So all that we have to do is wait it out, because these things, have a finite time frame. They go through its transition. We have to wait it out. During this period, we have to make sure that our businesses are protected, our people are protected. The safety of our people is paramount.
Have you been in contact with your operations
Constantly.
in PepsiCo Egypt? Are you going to be evacuating employees out of there?
No, our people are all Egyptian. That's one thing about PepsiCo. In every country in which we do business, our employees are local. So our Egyptian employees are all on the ground. They're protecting our facilities, our distribution centers, our offices. And our head of AMEA, Saad Abdul Latif, is constantly in touch with all of the executives in Egypt. And, we're worried for them because we want to make sure the country goes through whatever transition it is going through right now in a peaceful way, or, not worse than it is right now. But at this point, we're worried about the safety of our people. We're in touch with them.
As a CEO, when you see events like is happening this week in Egypt, when you see things in India, your home country, we're going to talk about that later, when you see terrorism and geopolitical risk overall, does it give you pause as a CEO about how you conduct business around the world for PepsiCo?
Look, we are part of a society that's going through a lot of change. Okay? Where we have uneven societies, you can be sure that there will be some upheaval at some point, because societies don't like to put up with a situation where a large portion of society is not doing well and another portion of society is doing well. Okay. Second, when you have a very young population and they are repressed, that's also a formula for disaster. So anytime we do business in these countries, we make sure that our portfolio is such that we don't depend too much on countries where there could be a political turmoil.
But Indra, I would think that that is the consumer that you're targeting. It has been the consumer that you're targeting, not just in the Arab world, but also in Africa. You've got a fierce pricing war going on with Coca-Cola in Africa, but you're also in India, you're also in China, you're also in Russia. But you were targeting the young consumer. That would be, I guess, not to say bread and butter, but the snack.
The young consumer is a terrific consumer. The young consumer is a terrific consumer, but you asked a question more about the political situation, whether we worry about it. Companies like ours are like little republics. We are big. We know how to operate in multiple countries. We also know how to work the portfolio so that if there's an upheaval in one country, we figure out how to protect our assets and how to come back up once this upheaval passes through. So that's the experience we get because we operate in so many countries. And the young people, especially in the Middle East, in the Arab world, in South Asia and Southeast Asia, a great source of business for us. And with a large portion of those countries being people less than 25 years old, that is our prime population. And whether they are protesting or not protesting, they're still drinking the Pepsi and drinking and eating Lay's. So they love our products.
I'm glad
you need sustenance before you go out there and protest.
I'm glad that you're bringing it home to the product. We're going to be talking about the products in the next piece of the show. But before we go to break, I do want to ask you, you've had a very good relationship with President Obama thus far in his administration. Overall, do you think that global leaders should listen more to business leaders?
I think business is the engine of growth in almost every country in the world. I don't even know if the president of any country can be successful if they don't have an open and honest dialogue with business in that country and invite ideas from business to see how to keep the country going. I mean, as a source of innovation, source of job creation. I don't believe any president can afford to be removed from, captains of business. I don't even know how they can function.
Indra, we have so many questions for you. We're going to get into the business of PepsiCo after we take a quick commercial break. You're going to stay with me.
All right.
Once again, Fox Business Network is here in Purchase, New York at the global headquarters of PepsiCo, the first of our American Icon series for 2011. When we come back, more with Indra Nooyi and more on PepsiCo. You're watching Fox Business. Stay with us. As we continue our American Icon series at PepsiCo headquarters in Purchase, New York, what is PepsiCo? Take a look.
PepsiCo is the second largest food and beverage company in the world, a household name that creates, packages, and sells everything. From cream soda to Cracker Jacks, Sabra to Lipton, from oats to cookies, Pepsi is everywhere. A global powerhouse with a market cap of just over $105 billion, PepsiCo has 4 divisions that span the world. PepsiCo America's Beverages not only sells the namesake product created back in 1898, their blockbuster portfolio also includes Tropicana orange juice, Gatorade sports drinks, Mountain Dew, even Aquafina water. And if you don't like caffeine in cola form, they have a partnership with Starbucks to distribute bottled Frappuccinos. Besides drinking their products, did you know PepsiCo is also in your daily diet? From Lay's and Ruffles potato chips to Doritos, Tostitos, Cheetos, pretzels. Pepsi is one of the most established snack brands in the world. But PepsiCo is at the family table as well. Quaker Brands makes their namesake oatmeal, as well as pancake syrup, Life cereal, even the San Francisco treat, Rice-A-Roni. And then there is the latest addition, hummus. Perhaps it's that determination to be everywhere that has fueled the company's global growth. PepsiCo operates in over 200 countries and employs 285,000 people worldwide.
And once again, we are back right here in Purchase, New York at the global headquarters of PepsiCo with Indra Nooyi, the chairman and the CEO of the company. Let's talk about the business. You just completed the acquisition, a major acquisition in Russia with Wimden Foods, and that is going to be, it's baby food, it's juices. It has nothing to do with salty snacks or with cola. So you're changing your strategy a little bit.
Well, you know, we've been on a strategy to shift the portfolio to create a more balanced portfolio of fun for you, better for you, and good for you products. Fun for you is our colas, our Lay's potato chips. Better for you is when we do a 0-calorie product or reduce the salt in Lay's, go to baked Lay's. And good for you is really the Quaker, the Tropicana, Gatorade for athletes, and then dairy, which is a source of protein. The Wimbledon acquisition is very, very important because it gives us a foothold into the dairy business, which is a protein source. Wimbledon is a terrific business by itself, but it gives us a source of technology to build out the value-added dairy business globally.
Let me ask you this. I mean, one of the things that we're focusing on today with our American Icon series with PepsiCo, it's an American Icon. Do you worry that the United States consumers' perception of PepsiCo will change because you're becoming such a global name? And you are, we're going to talk about this later on in the hour, you are changing the product mix a little bit to make the food healthier.
I think the consumer in the United States loves PepsiCo precisely for this reason, because we're offering them a wide variety of products. Remember, the average consumer thinks about Pepsi-Cola, thinks about Mountain Dew, thinks about Sierra Mist, thinks about Lay's, Tostitos, Doritos, Fritos. PepsiCo is an investor vehicle. The consumer thinks about the brands. The consumer loves Gatorade, loves Quaker, loves Tropicana. And they don't care which company provides it. They just want the greatest tasting products. I remember I was on a college campus doing interviews, and I asked these college kids, what's your most favorite brand? They said Naked Juice. And I smiled to myself because we own Naked Juice, right? So to them, they don't even know the corporate parentage of a lot of these brands. To us, we know that we are the owner, the stewards of the greatest portfolio of brands.
And you do have a large portfolio. Let's move over to another part of the world, and that is China. You are doing something very intriguing, I think, in China. You're opening up these green plants. Sustainability, obviously, is a big message for you and performance with purpose with PepsiCo, but you're investing there, and those plants are coming up with products that have that most Americans will never hear of, would never try. But you seem to be really targeting that country specifically. Why China to you? And is the market oversaturated at this point, do you think?
Well, you mean which market?
The Chinese market.
Oh, no. The Chinese market is 1.3 billion people. 1.3 billion people. It's 4.5 times the size of the U.S. market. It's a gigantic market. It's a market that's just now growing in terms of GDP per capita. So I think there's decades of growth in the Chinese market, 2 or 3 decades of growth in the Chinese market. But you cannot just export the American model to China. So what we have to do is figure out the right model for China, for the Chinese consumers. But then you have to ask the question, why a global company? Why does an American company have to go into China to do a Chinese product? So this is where I think the fact that we are global and local makes a difference. So for example, we'll make a potato chip, which is globally made out of the same grade potatoes, planted in China, okay, and chipped in China, but the flavoring will be Chinese. It'll be cuttlefish flavor or squid flavor, or flavors that the Chinese consumer likes. So we can bring the best world-class flat potato chips to them, but flavor it in a very Chinese way. So I think there's decades of growth in China, not just for Lay's potato chips, but for drinks based on traditional Chinese medicine, for Quaker oats with Chinese flavors like congee. I mean, the potential is infinite.
Before I let you go, I do want to ask you, you mentioned this in Davos about commodity prices. You have a close eye right now on global commodity prices. Give us an update. Are you still concerned right now about what you're seeing out there in the market?
Look, I do not like the fact that global commodity prices are going up, because it means for many people the cost of living is going up in the world. And what is unclear is whether commodity prices are going up because of supply-demand imbalances, or whether commodity prices are going up because of financial speculation. I don't know where the truth lies. But the fact of the matter is, this kind of a commodity price escalation is not good, especially for people who are struggling, right? I don't know what the outcome is, but companies like ours are used to these commodity cycles, high lows. So we learn to manage through it. But I'm not the low-end consumer who's struggling to make ends meet while paying twice as much for oil or for a bag of potatoes or onions. It's a tough situation.
Well, and your upbringing in India was fascinating. We're going to talk about that in a few moments. Indra Nooyi, you're going to be back with me. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We are going to change gears here at Fox Business because it is snowing up here in All right, Ashley Webster live for us out in Cairo. And of course, you're going to be monitoring the situation from there. We're monitoring the situation here in the United States and also looking at the markets and also monitoring our American icon, and that is PepsiCo. Again, this is a global company, $60 billion in revenue annually for PepsiCo. A lot of that is the quote-unquote fun-for-you products, the Doritos, the Pepsi Cola, the stuff that is bad for you. But how about the things that PepsiCo makes that are quote-unquote good for you? 10 billion of that 60 billion right now is the Good For You line, and it is a pet project of Indra Nooyi, and she once again joins me now. And Indra, you've staked your reputation on this, about completely changing the way that PepsiCo operates and changing the foods. Why take on this in, frankly, a recessionary environment that we've been in for 3 years now?
Well, let me first correct you on one thing. Doritos is not bad for you. Pepsi Cola is not bad for you. Doritos is nothing but corn mashed up, fried a little bit with just very little oil, and then flavored in the most delectable way. And Pepsi Cola was discovered in a pharmacy for a stomach ailment. So these are not bad for you products. I say to you that any product consumed in excess is bad for you. Any product, including Tropicana, including Quaker, everything has to be eaten in moderation and drunk in moderation. Now let's talk about the shift in the portfolio. What we are trying to do is provide a balanced portfolio of fun for you, better for you, and good for you products. Why are we doing this? I think it's a tremendous growth opportunity because lifestyles are changing. Sedentary lifestyles have caused obesity rates to increase. And I think the consumer worldwide has to eat differently so that they can remain healthy. Otherwise, with medical costs going up as much as they are, non-communicable diseases like obesity should not become front and center and take up a lot of the GDP. So it's important that we bring goodness to all consumers, but bring them in a way that's authentic, affordable, and available. And that's what PepsiCo does so well. We can take products like oats, make them taste great. We can take fruit and make it available like a juice in full, the fresh from the fruit, which is Tropicana or Trop 50, which is half the sugar of Tropicana. Give it to you in a way that still gets goodness into you, but tastes great. And through our distribution systems, we can make it available in every nook and corner of the world. And that's what makes it so powerful.
But how do you convince your global fans, if you will, your faithful, that something is going to taste good and still be somewhat good for you? I mean, that's, I think, where the change is happening.
All that they have to do...
Saturated fats and calories are still prevalent.
All that they have to do is to taste a product of ours.
Okay.
And once they taste one of our products, they won't leave it, because every product has been formulated to be great tasting. Now you asked the question, why should PepsiCo focus on good for you products? One of the reasons why we have a right to succeed in the good for you space, first of all, with about $12 billion in the good for you space, we are one of the top 2 food and beverage, health and wellness companies in the world. That's the best kept secret. I mean, we are among the top 2 companies just in the health and wellness space. But beyond that, because we know how to flavor products in Doritos, in Pepsi, in Sierra Mist, in Mountain Dew, we know flavoring chemistry. We can bring the best of that flavoring chemistry to good for you. And that's what makes every one of the products we offer in good for you so appealing to every consumer, whether you're a kid or an old person.
Let me ask you this. You have spent tens of millions of dollars in your home country of India, in particular malnourished children. You've been targeting that group. On the other side of the spectrum, Indra, you have obesity rates that have risen here in this country. PepsiCo was one of the first big names to pull sugary drinks out of schools. What can you do next? What is the next venture for you to deal with? Because you do have a powerful platform, and that is PepsiCo right now.
I think the world has an issue with overnourishment and undernourishment. And we have to address the overnourishment through education, through the right product portfolio, and give people an incentive, either through great advertising, through promotional campaigns, through attractive retail theater, to get them to buy our good-for-you products. While we're doing that, we have to make sure we don't ignore the undernourished. So what we do is we develop products in countries like Africa, in South Africa or Mexico, India, using local crops like chickpea or plum peanuts, whatever, to develop products grown in the local farms for the bottom of the pyramid. And the hope is that if we can produce these highly nutritious snacks for these bottom of the pyramid undernourished people, we can then scale up from that to provide even more fortified products for the rest of the population.
And the people that work for PepsiCo have a big mission in front of them. You've told them you want the revenues to go from $10 billion to $30 billion.
Absolutely.
And your team is working on that.
And we're on our way. We're on our way.
Indra Nooyi, the chairman and CEO, of course, of PepsiCo, our American icon today at the Fox Business Network. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
And thank you for being here in Purchase, Cheryl, on this wonderfully snowy, white day.
Our viewers cannot see, but we are absolutely buried in snow up here in Purchase, New York. That is absolutely correct. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about the stock of Pepsi. Is Pepsi a buy? We're going to talk to an analyst that covers the company and other beverage companies as well. And of course, we're monitoring all of the events. A good day for the markets. We'll see if it's a good day for PepsiCo. Coming up after the break, you're watching Fox Business.